Value standards and conscience. Psionics recognizes pleasure, happiness, and positive feelings and emotions as the only things of intrinsic positive hedonic value. Likewise, pain, unhappiness, and negative feelings and emotions are the only things of intrinsic negative hedonic value. Those things which lead to the increase of positive hedonic value, or the decrease of negative hedonic value, are of instrumental positive hedonic value. Those things which lead to the decrease of positive hedonic value, or the increase of negative hedonic value, are of instrumental negative hedonic value. Sometimes an instrumental hedonic value can become associated with pleasure over time, in such a fashion that it becomes intrinsically pleasurable in its own right. This is obviously a beneficial occurrence. The term hedonic value, without the modifiers positive or negative, generally refers to positive hedonic value. The term hedonic disvalue can be used as an alternative term for negative hedonic value. The term value can be used in several ways. Ayn Rand has defined a value as that which one strives to gain or keep. Generally speaking, such values are desired because they either are of intrinsic or instrumental hedonic value. The term value can also be used to indicate one's standards for determining that which one strives to gain or keep. Valuing can also be used to indicate the act of desiring or striving for such things. The term disvalue can be used as an antonym for any of these uses of the term value. The term conscience is used to refer to the feelings and emotions which are associated with ethical choices. The conscience may technically be defined as the psychological mechanism which provides the immediate emotional pleasure or pain that is associated with the thought of choosing some option. It provides the emotional content associated with the act of valuing or disvaluing something. One's value standards and one's conscience are thus two aspects of the same process. Whereas lower consciousness beings have an essentially automatic standard of value, conceptually conscious beings have the ability to examine and modify their value standards and their conscience. Such examination and modification can proceed essentially non-volitionally, unconsciously, mystically, or unintentionally, or it can be carried out volitionally, intentionally, and empirico-rationally. It should be obvious that a volitionally, intentionally directed empirico-rational approach will be most effective in guiding one in the pursuit and acquisition of hedonic value. In some ways, the human conscience shares characteristics with the human ability to speak. One is not born with either grammatical language or a conscience, yet over time one acquires both as one's conceptual mind develops. Human infants can vocalize and communicate such simple things as pleasure and displeasure, just as lower animals can, but while humans do not speak an actual grammatical language when they are born, they do have the nascent conceptual faculties and linguistic abilities necessary to eventually acquire any human language. In a similar fashion, one is not born with a conscience, but eventually develops one in conjunction with, and as a result of, one's conceptual mind. As one develops as a child, one must learn to obey any number of commands or rules, frequently with the promise of some reward, or the threat of some punishment. The child desires the reward, or fears the punishment, but resents having to bend to the will of an external authority. In other words, children do not like being told what to do, but want to do what they want to do. In order to resolve the psychological conflict between the child's resentment of the external commands, on the one hand, and the need to comply with them, on the other, the child begins to internalize these commands, i.e., to psychologically integrate them into his or her conscience as though they actually originated from his or her own internal desires, rather than from some external authority. This process of internalization has the psychological effect of causing increasing acceptance of these commands, as they become increasingly experienced as a reflection of one's inner will, or inner authority, rather than that of some resented external authority. Many of these commands are issued in the interest of the child's safety and well-being. The less that such commands are resented and resisted, and the more they come to be internalized, the more readily will the child carry them out. Thus, the child eventually comes to automatically carry out various beneficial actions, without the need for constant supervision or external commands. There can also be a hidden, detrimental aspect to this process, however, due to its largely subconscious nature. In addition to internalizing commands which actually promote the child's well-being, the child can also unknowingly come to internalize other commands which do not. It is also possible for the child to develop the psychological habit of unquestioningly accepting external authorities. This habit, if unchecked, may well be carried on into and throughout its adult life, and can be quite dangerous if the commands of the external authority are not in one's best interest. This dangerous psychological habit of the acceptance of external authority is unfortunately quite prevalent among human beings. One can avoid the inherent dangers of subconscious command internalization and unquestioned authority acceptance as one begins to mature and develop in one's conceptual faculties, provided that one exerts the disciplined, honest effort necessary for the intentional empirico-rational examination of the internal commands and judgments of one's own conscience, as well as those of all external authorities, regardless of the source. In this way, one's conscious conceptual mind becomes fully engaged in the process of choice, potentiating the development of a mature, objective, reality-based conscience, rather than an immature, subjective, blind faith in authority conscience, and a much higher degree of choice. The human capacity for free will thus extends far beyond the freedom to follow the arbitrary feelings generated by a shadowy, nebulous consciousness and conscience, to the much greater freedom of actually authoring one's own mind and one's own conscience. Thus, the heart of Scionics ethics and the conscience of Zen are not based in the dark world of mystical thinking, but in the brightly illuminated world of empirico-rational thinking.
Thank you for watching. Please help spread our message by liking and sharing this video, and by subscribing to our channel. Please also visit our website, Scionics.org, and register to join the Scio-Society for free. You can also help support our cause directly, by donating through our website. We sincerely hope you will be a part of our effort to bring about the positive revolutionary transformation of the Scionics protocols.